Hello everyone, John12 back here again with another video, and yes, it's time for some more DBZ news and DBZ discussions. If you're a first comer to my channel, then you should know that I make various DBZ discussion videos, basically just giving my overall personal thoughts on specific Dragon Ball Z topics at hand. And of course, anybody can comment on my channel to bring up new discussions, new topics, bring me topics, because of course I like to believe that all DBZ fans should have their voice heard, because it does count, and the fan base for Dragon Ball Z is amazing. But, ironically, not too long ago, I made a specific video discussing Dragon Ball Z on Toonami. For those of you who don't know, Toonami used to feature Dragon Ball Z and various other arcs back in the day, and not too long ago, this Saturday, well, technically last Saturday, depending on when I upload this video, but essentially, Toonami featured Cooler's Revenge, Dragon Ball Z Cooler's Revenge. And I know Toonami back in the day used to make various presentations of movies like this, but it felt very subliminal, the type of message they were sending. Now, before I get into that, I like to state that I did make a prior video making my thoughts on Toonami and Dragon Ball Z being on Toonami, but ironically, at the same time as I was editing it on my computer, I noticed that Toonami and Adult Swim online not too long ago had announced that Dragon Ball Z is coming to Toonami Adult Swim. So it kind of feels like my whole statement is purposeless, but just for the sake of it, I will be including it on this version of this video, just so you can get the overall opinion of what I was getting at. But overall, basically, I'm just going to get into this new stuff, and then you guys can listen into what I said prior. So this will be technically a two-parter of this specific topic. But overall, Toonami and Adult Swim had officially announced that they're going to be featuring Dragon Ball Z. But are you thinking, hey guys, is it Dragon Ball Z the way it used to be? Is it GT, or is it Dragon Ball, or is it the Blu-ray version, the new Blu-ray version, Kai, uncut Dragon Ball Z? No, it is Dragon Ball Z Kai, yes. Supposedly this year by, apparently the fall, which I think would be a good, interesting way to presentate it. But apparently Dragon Ball Z Kai will be returning to Toonami and be featured in the fall network, in the fall. I don't even know, to tell you the truth. I have zero idea. It has, if you go on online right now, it has not been announced when in 2014 it will be featuring, but it does say that Dragon Ball Z Kai will premiere in the fall, uncut, that is, which is good. Dragon Ball Z Kai uncut. But I just wanted to give my thoughts on how awesome that is, because I did ironically make a video giving my personal thoughts on this. But nonetheless, Dragon Ball Z Kai will be featured on Toonami, and I think that's personally really fucking awesome. It obviously will be featuring the Saiyan saga all the way to the Android/Cell saga. But there's been a lot of notions and a lot of rumors talking about, okay, what about the Buu saga? Because Japan and Europe and whoever else is airing it other than America will be coming out with the Buu saga for Dragon Ball Z Kai, titled Dragon Ball Z Kai The Final Chapters, which is an interesting title. And basically, the Adult Swim didn't specify as to whether or not they're going to be featuring the final chapters of Dragon Ball Z Kai, but nonetheless, by the time Kai comes to America, the final chapters of Kai, I'm pretty sure by the time it's on Toonami that we will be featuring the Buu saga, which I'm pretty psyched for. And it kind of makes sense, seeing as how Kai coming over, the final chapters coming out and being aired over here in America, it would be pretty awesome to see them on Toonami, especially the way it should be. The way Toonami said this subliminal message that Dragon Ball Z will be back, or is back on Toonami, the way it should be, where it belongs. And I really like that statement because it's true. And it will be featuring the uncut version of Kai. So none of that Nickelodeon bullshit. None of that cutting and erasing of the blood and the bruises and all that nonsense and all the violence of the fighting. It will be uncut. So I'm personally really psyched for it. I really don't care what anybody else says. I mean, who have negative things to say, because I really enjoy Kai. And I really am glad that Dragon Ball Z and any type of format will be coming back to Toonami the way it should be, because where else should it be other than Toonami? That's all I have to say. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed. Give me your personal thoughts in the comment section, and of course, I'll be featuring my second part of this topic because I did make a video prior to to making this one. So I hope you guys listen to that one, and I hope you guys enjoyed. But overall, Toonami's back in action with Dragon Ball Z where it belongs, and I'm personally very happy about that. And I'm also psyched to see the Buu saga, the final chapters of Kai, and that's going to be it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and definitely leave your comments to anything you did not agree with or agreed or just had an overall opinion on. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone, JohnTrickle12 back here again with another video, and yes, it is time for another DBZ type video. Now, basically, if you are a first comer to my channel, then I do various DBZ discussions. It's actually a segment on my channel where I take a specific DBZ topic that generally piques my interest and just variously talk about it to an extent and get the support, well, not really support, but the overall opinions of various Dragon Ball fans across the planet, and hopefully any Dragon Ball fan who comes to watch any of my discussions hopefully leaves their personal topics, because obviously to a great fan base like Dragon Ball, everyone's voice should be heard. But basically, this is not generally like an official topic, and it's not really something that I can go on word and say like, oh, it's official, and yes, this will happen. You know, and plus I'd like to make that as clear as possible, because the last thing I need is like the really cunty people to get on my channel and be like, oh, well, JohnTrickle12 doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't even do research. Look at him. He's stuttering and he doesn't make sense and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not trying to do that. You know, I'm not trying to stand here and say like, oh, well, my statements are law and they're official and they're from the people who were above us and it's going to happen. I'm not trying to say that. And what I'm talking about is Dragon Ball Z on Toonami. Yes, for the last several years, will last good 2 to 3 years almost, Toonami has been returned to its rightful place on TV, and it's done just a great, amazing job showing us really great content, especially great releases like Attack on Titan, which officially got its release. The openings for new animes like Blue Exorcist and Space Dandy, and obviously new episodes of Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece, and various other animes like that, and various other cartoons like Beware the Batman, and Symbionic Titan, and just various cartoons, and just really awesome content. But just the last Saturday, essentially this Saturday technically from where I'm recording this video, but technically last Saturday from me uploading this video, Toonami released Cooler's Revenge. Yes, if you're a DBZ fan, then obviously you know all about Cooler's Revenge, so I'm not really going to get into it. But I know what everybody's thinking, like, well, what's the significance, man? I mean, who cares? Toonami airs that movie. What's the big deal? Well, the point is this. Prior to the release of Cooler's Revenge on Toonami, Toonami released a teaser to Cooler's Revenge. And I didn't really think much of it because Toonami variously premieres good anime features and just various other features like Akira and stuff like that, which is really cool and awesome. But the way they showed the teaser and the way they presented it was so interesting, you know, like very, I don't know if I would say that the words that they were using were subliminal, but it kind of came off that way to me, and I don't know about anybody else. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you're a genius, but if you don't know exactly what I'm saying, I'll just point it out to you. And of course I'm paraphrasing, of course. But essentially, the actor who does the voice for the teasers on Toonami was essentially giving his, you know, just saying, you know, normal trailer talk for the movie. But at the end, he kind of stated like, Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, where it belongs. And that statement really stuck with me. Like for the rest of the week, I was like, wow, yeah, that's really a badass statement, because it's kind of true. Because for those of you who don't know, who are growing up and watching DBZ Kai and stuff, that's all cool, but back in the day, Dragon Ball Z was on Cartoon Network and on Toonami and Adult Swim and stuff like that, and that's the way I like to think of it and see it. Dragon Ball Z uncut. That's the way I like it. That's the way I like to see it presented to me. And it was like that on Toonami back in the day. They showed Dragon Ball, they showed Dragon Ball Z, they had various other features, good stuff. But the way they stated that it just felt so subliminal to me that it just stuck with me. And then I'm watching Cooler's Revenge on Toonami. I didn't really have to because I freaking remember that movie by memory, every single scene, obviously. But I was just watching it thinking, like, wow, like, could this mean that Dragon Ball Z could possibly return to Toonami in a specific roster in time? It would be pretty cool, especially next to other animes that are being featured, like One Piece and Naruto. It'd be kind of cool to see them like all together in just 1 hour, separated from each other. That would be pretty fucking badass. And I just wanted to. This is what this video is generally doing. Like that's all I'm trying to put out there, and my personal thoughts on that. I don't know if anybody else got that. I don't know if anybody else has the interest of that. But I was kind of thinking of that. Like, would it be cool that Dragon Ball Z, DBZ, the way it should be, not that Kai, not Dragon Ball Z Kai, or maybe Kai, just for the sake of it, was featured on Toonami, right where it belongs. That would be pretty badass. Because then we won't have to deal with Blu-rays and having to go online to watch it, and all that stuff is cool too. Hell, I own most of that stuff, and I go online for all that stuff too as well. I'm just on there all the time, but at the same time, it would be cool to see it on Toonami, and I'm just wondering, what do you guys think? Do you think it would be cool to see Dragon Ball Z back on Toonami, where it fucking belongs? And of course, which type of representation would you want? Would you want the Blu-ray quality? Would you want the original cut? Would you want the Kai version? Which one do you think should be on Toonami? Of course, I don't really have a word on it. I'm not. Once again, I'm not trying to say like, oh, it's official and it's going to happen. Toonami's bringing back DBZ officially. I'm not trying to say that. I've actually looked it up, and Toonami hasn't said any word on whether or not Dragon Ball Z would be back on Toonami. I really doubt it, especially seeing as how Kai's on Nickelodeon and stuff. So, but that's Kai. Why not just, like, Nickelodeon, like, could have Kai, but I think it would be cool. Like, Nicktoons has Kai, but it would be cool to have, like, the uncut version of Dragon Ball Z, the way it should be seen on Toonami around midnight. That would be fucking badass. That would be cool. And that's all I'm trying to put out there. What do you guys think? Do you think Dragon Ball Z should come back to Toonami, where it fucking belongs? But that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed. And, of course, if you don't agree or have your own opinions on anything I stated, please feel free to comment, and I hope you guys enjoyed.